So what is the best way to grow a trading account from 1,000 into 10,000? Well, in this video, I'm gonna be giving a full beginner's guide. This is exactly what I would do if I was starting as a beginner with $1,000. Not only will I be showing you the exact way I would start scaling up my trading, but I'm also gonna be going over my exact setups, what stocks to actually trade, what confirmations to use, and a couple other things that I think you guys will find very helpful if you're just getting started with day trading. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the stages of a trader. Now, a lot of people think you can just go into trading and start with $1,000 and flip it into $10,000 in a week or two. But if you have that mindset, you're probably going to fail. You have to think about the long-term vision and really go through these stages. Every successful trader I know, including myself, all had to go through these stages in order to become profitable and start turning 1,000 into 10,000 or 10,000 into 100,000. So the first stage is discovery and learning. This is a lot of stage that you guys already probably went through. This is where you first discover about day trading and trading in general, and you can see how much money you can make. You see all these people online making a bunch of money, and that gets you interested in trading, and that's where you start learning. You start watching YouTube videos, maybe you start buying some courses. That's all great. A lot of you guys are probably already went through that stage. Now, the stage number 2 that you have to go through to become a profitable trader is going to be paper trading, right? Just testing things out, getting familiar with how the brokerage works, getting familiar with how to buy and sell, how to put a stop loss, all the basic stuff, just getting familiar with it. That's going to be paper trading. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already went through that as well. Once you get through stage 2, you actually know how to buy and sell, and you're familiar with the software and the brokerage, whatever charting platform you're using. Now you can go ahead and move on to stage number 3. Now, stage number 3 is where a lot of people start to get stuck, okay? So stage number 3 is actually developing an edge, right? Developing a strategy, your own system that you follow that basically just gives you an edge in the market. It tells you when to buy, when to sell. It doesn't always work, but 7 times out of 10, 6 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, it works, and this is where you can start becoming a profitable trader. And once you kind of develop the system, this is where you want to start testing it out with real money, which brings me to stage number 4, where you're starting out with that $1,000 account and you're actually practicing trading your setups, trading your system, trading your edge, whatever you want to call it. Stage number 4 is where you actually get started with real money. And again, stage number 4 is another place where a lot of people get stuck, because this is where, maybe you have a system that works and you trust it, but maybe you're just not very disciplined at following your rules, or you get emotional when you take a loss and you end up taking dumb trades, or you're holding on to losing trades for too long and you end up, losing a bunch of money in a day. You end up blowing your account, and then you have to wait to add in more money, right? So this is the stage where a lot of people get stuck. And obviously after that, stage 5 is where you get to a $10,000 account. You can start putting out more size. You can start making anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to even $2,000 per day. So like I said, what I want to do in this video is show you how to get from stage 4 all the way to stage number 5. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do this is you're going to need some setups to follow, right? Whatever you want to call this. Some people call it your edge, some people call it your system, some people call it their setups. If you're just starting out with trading and you have $1,000, you're ready to start trading with real money, I would focus on 1 to 2 setups max. So don't try to get good at all kinds of different setups. What you want to do, what the most profitable traders do, is they master 1 to 2 setups, right? They know them like the back of their hand. They can see them forming on the chart in real time, and they're very familiar with them. And this is currently what I do, right? I have 2 main setups I follow. So the first setup that I follow is basically just looking at supply and demand. Now, if I go into the charts, you can see we had a clear demand level this morning at around 44.11, okay? So this demand zone was created yesterday, right? And the way I found this demand zone is if I go on a 30-minute time frame, I'll kind of show you how I found this demand zone. We can see that this got formed yesterday. What I want to look for is where did price reverse, right? And then from there, I want to see a very strong follow through. Okay, so you can see on this 30-minute chart, this next candle that we got here after this kind of balance candle was very strong. It closed at the very top. So what I did is I drew a box basically from the top of the body on this candle right before this strong candle to the bottom of the wick, right? And that's my zone. Now, as you can see, if I go back into the 5-minute chart, the market opened up. As you can see, we had some 5-minute reversal candles, and we ripped up from here. So that's the first setup I look for. Where is the extreme highs? Where is the extreme lows? Where was there aggressive buying, aggressive selling? That's gonna create your supply and demand zones. That's the first setup I'm looking for. Now, the second setup that I personally use is using VWAP. So if we're not in those extreme, supply zones or extreme demand zones, and we're kind of just trading in the middle, then I'll start looking at the VWAP as a place to actually enter or exit trades, right? So for example, if we go over to the NASDAQ, as we can see, basically this morning, we were kind of downtrending. So you don't really want to trade against the trend. So what you want to do is you want to wait for price to come back up so you get a good entry and look for resistance, right? So as we can see, we had pretty aggressive selling here. So when we got up here, not only did we have, somewhat of a resistance level, but we also had VWAP lined up for it. So I kind of combined a couple confirmations into one setup, and that's the second setup I follow. If we're in the middle range, I'm gonna use VWAP as support and resistance and actually trade with the trend. So for example, this is where I would go short, right? And then I'd have certain targets where I'd take profits. Same thing here, we got back up here again, same resistance level, also matched up with VWAP. This is where I would go short. As you can see, we had a massive sell-off after that. Now, of course, these setups don't always work, right? So to go back to the chart again, right, we can see price went back up to here to VWAP, right? Well, as we can see, if we would have shorted right here, it wouldn't have worked, right? Price kept going up. So to make your setups have a higher probability of actually working, you need to have as many confirmations as you can. So for me, I'm looking to have at least 3 confirmations if we're at a specific resistance level, supply zone, demand zone, support level. I want to see at least 3 confirmations for me to actually enter the trade. So if I share my screen here, as we can see, these are some of the confirmations I follow for my setup specifically. For example, let's say I see a 5-minute candlestick. That could be one confirmation. Maybe I see volume bars, right? Maybe I see the VWAP indicator. Maybe I see a VIX divergence. Maybe I see a pattern. Whatever those confirmations are for you, like I said, I look for at least 3 of them. So if I see a candlestick, VWAP is lined up with the resistance, and I have a pattern, right? Maybe it's a double top, a double bottom. That's where I'll go ahead and actually enter the trade. So to give you an example, right? Let's take the first setup I use, which is supplier demand zones. As we can see, we had this clear supply zone that got created in pre-market. I basically found this zone because we had aggressive selling right here, a great follow through. So I'm on a 5-minute chart. I basically drew this box from the bottom of the body here to the top of the wick. As we can see, it took a while for us to test this, but we eventually got up to here, right? We're in the supply zone right at this, little level here. And there wasn't really any confirmations until this candle right here, right? We can see a clear high day wick, seller stepped in and immediately wicked down. We closed towards the bottom. That's one confirmation to get in the trade. Another confirmation for this trade, as we can see, if we look at the volume bar on this candlestick where we made that high day, we had higher volume, right? So people were just trying to push this thing up, but it just got immediately rejected, immediately sold off. Another confirmation for me when entering a trade is I want to see those higher volume bars. And the last confirmation, if we go back to the 5-minute chart, this is basically a double top pattern. So that was a third confirmation for this trade, which is a valid entry point for me. So now that you know the stages of a trader, you know that you need to focus on, 1 to 2 setups, and you need to develop confirmations for those setups, right? I recommend having at least 3 confirmations. It doesn't have to be the same ones I use. Use the ones that make the most sense to you. Now let's go and talk about how to actually scale, right? How to go from 1,000 to 10,000. How long does it actually take? How should I go about increasing my size when I am starting to take good trades? Let's go ahead and talk about that. So if I share my screen here, as we can see, for those of you that don't know, I trade futures. So I trade the ES, which is basically the S&P 500 right here. Anyways, if you specifically trade the micro ES, which is basically just the ES, but you don't need as much money to trade the micro ES. So here's kind of how it works. So the brokerage I use to trade is called Tradevate, and they require at least $100 for every contract of the MES that you trade. And basically the way this works for the MES specifically is one contract makes you $5 per point. Okay, so if we go back to the chart here, we can see, but let me just go into the 1-minute chart. And let's say we did take this trade. Like let's say we got in at 44.35. As we can see, 1 point is $5, right? So if we held this all the way, let's say we had VWAP as target, right? It basically went to, let's say we got out at 25. Well, that's 10 points. So if you had one contract of the MES and you made 10 points on it, you would make $50. And again, they require you to have $100 per contract. Now, I recommend having at least $200 in your portfolio for every contract you trade. So for example, let's say you had a $1,000 portfolio, which is what this whole video is about, right? Growing 1,000, 10,000. That means if you want to have $200 for every contract, right, you should be trading 5 contracts absolute max. So what this means is 5 contracts will make you $25 per point, right? Because it's $5 per point, and then you have 5 contracts, so 5 times 5 is $25 per point that you make. So that means, taking the same case scenario, if you make 10 points on a trade, you would make a $250 gain. So basically what this means is if you have $1,000 and you have a decent trade, right, which is around 10 points, you can make up to $250 per day, right? Obviously, you're gonna have some losing trades, you're gonna have some losing days, but that's how much you would make on a good trade. So as far as scaling this, what I recommend to do is add 2 contracts every month that you're pretty profitable, right? So let's say you start with $1,000, you're trading with 5 contracts. Some days you're making 250, some days you're losing 100, maybe another day you lost 200, the next day you made 250 again, right? And you're kind of just, you know, you're not a perfect trader, but overall you're profitable, right? And let's say you turn that 1,000 into 3,000 by the end of the month, right? So you made 2,000 for that month. So if you have that outcome of profitability, what I would do, what I personally do to scale is I would add 2 contracts the next month. So now the next month, instead of trading 5 contracts, now you're trading 7, right? It's not too huge of a jump where you're gonna be more of an emotional trader, but you're slowly scaling. And you wanna keep doing this. Every month that you have a profitable trading month, I would add 2 contracts, right? So to kind of give you an example of that, let's say the first month you turn 1,000 and now you have a $3,000 portfolio, right? Now you can add 2 contracts. Now let's say month number 2, you're trading with 7 contracts. So on a good day, you're making $350. So now the goal of that, you know, if you have some green days and red days, but majority of your days are green, your winners are bigger than your losers. Let's say month 2, you get to 6,000. Now add 2 contracts again. So now you're trading, you know, 9 or 10 contracts. Month 3, $10,000. So this is really important, right? On paper, the demonstration I just showed you, it takes 3 months to realistically hit it, right? Go from 1,000 to 10,000. But only if you are a very skilled trader, which if you're a beginner starting out, you're not gonna be a skilled trader, right? It takes time to develop those skills. So realistically, it will actually take at least 6 to 12 months due to the stages of a trader, right? Due to you know, being emotional when you're taking losses, due to you not having an edge, due to you not following your systems, or maybe you are following your system, but your system isn't working, right? It needs better confirmation, right? So I'm really just trying to be realistic with you guys and give you the right mindset when it comes to trading, because, you know, if you're a perfect trader, and even this case scenario isn't a perfect trader. This is like you have some green days, you have some red days, but majority are green days. On paper, it would take 3 months to turn 1,000 into 10,000 if you follow this plan. But like I said, when you're just starting out, you're gonna go through some hard times. You're gonna have some big red days. Some days you're not gonna follow your plan, and that's all part of the process. So realistically, I think it will take at least 6 to 12 months to actually hit that mark, which is completely fine, because, you know, if it only takes you a year to become a profitable trader, and now you can trade with more size and you can start slowly scaling that up. Once you start trading with 10 contracts, 20 contracts, 30 contracts, that's where you can start making, you know, that $1,000 to $2,000 per day, which I'm sure a lot of you watching this video, that's your main goal, right? Get to 1,000 a day, get to $2,000 per day. Like I said, you gotta master the basics. You gotta start small and earn the ability to trade with more contracts. Don't just go straight for it, because you'll probably end up losing more money. So anyways, guys, hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. But real quick before you go, if you wanna join our private Discord community, this is where I share my pre-market plan every single day. I share market updates. Like I said, it's completely free and open to the public. If you wanna join it, all you have to do is go to the first link in the description below, or just head over to this link right here. With that being said, guys, as always, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.